Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our English Learning Podcast. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to talk about one of the most powerful skills you can develop as an English learner: thinking directly in English without translating every word in your head. I know so many of you struggle with this. You hear something in English, you translate it into your native language, then you translate your answer back into English, and by the time you're ready to respond, the conversation has already moved on. Sounds familiar, right? Well, you're not alone. Today I have Alex with me, and together we're going to explore how to train your brain to stop translating and start thinking in English naturally. Hi, Alex. Welcome back.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you. Hello, everyone. It feels great to be back. And wow, this topic is so important. I know it very well because for many years, I was exactly the kind of student you just described. Every single sentence I heard in English, I translated it into my native language first, then I translated my response back into English. It was slow, stressful, and it made conversations very difficult.
Yes, and I think many of our listeners can relate. I remember when I was teaching beginners, I could almost see the gears turning in their heads. They weren't listening to me in English, they were listening, then translating, then thinking in their own language, then translating again. And that's exhausting. Alex, can you tell us when you realized you had to stop translating if you wanted to become fluent?
Sure. I think the big moment was when I traveled abroad for the first time. I was in London and I went to a coffee shop. The barista asked me, "What can I get for you?" A very simple question, but I froze. In my head, I heard the sentence, translated it into my native language, built my answer in my language, then tried to translate it back into English. It took forever. People in line were waiting, and I felt so embarrassed. That's when I realized if I keep translating, I will never be fast enough for real conversations.
That's such a good story. And I think everyone listening has had a similar experience. Maybe in school, maybe while traveling, maybe online. So let's talk about solutions. How do you actually train your brain to think in English?
The first step for me was to accept that translation is natural at the beginning. Your brain wants to connect the new language with what you already know. So if you're listening right now and you translate a lot, don't feel bad, it's normal. But the key is to slowly reduce translation.
Exactly. It's like training a muscle. At first, it's weak, but the more you practice, the stronger it becomes. So, what was your first exercise, Alex?
I started with very simple things. For example, instead of saying to myself, "I am hungry" in my native language, and then translating it into English, I forced myself to just think, "I am hungry" directly in English. I did this with daily situations. I am tired. It is cold. I like this song. Small sentences, but in English only.
That's brilliant. To our listeners, try this today. Choose 3 short sentences that describe your life right now and repeat them in English. Don't allow your native language to enter the process. Just think in English, even if it feels strange.
Yes, and another thing that helped me was labeling objects around me. For example, when I saw a chair, instead of thinking chair equals my language, I tried to connect the word chair directly to the object. So the word and the object became one in my mind without translation.
Oh, I love that method. It's like creating a direct connection between English words and reality. And it makes vocabulary stronger because you're not always going through the filter of your native language.
Exactly. And then I started using what I call mini questions. Throughout the day, I would ask myself questions in English. What time is it? What am I doing? Where am I going? And then I answered in English, even if the answers were very simple. It is 2 o'clock. I am walking. I am going to school.
That's such a powerful exercise. And you know what? I encourage my students to do this too. If you're listening, try it. Every hour, stop and ask yourself one question in English. Don't translate, just answer in English, even with simple words.
Yes, and slowly your brain gets used to it. At first, it's hard, but then it becomes natural. Let's talk about listening, because listening is another way to train your brain. When you listen to English, try not to translate every single word. Instead, focus on the main idea.
Right. I remember when I used to listen to English songs, I always wanted to know every single word. But then I realized I didn't need to translate everything. I just needed to feel the meaning. For example, when a singer says, I miss you, I don't have to translate it. I can just feel the emotion.
That's beautiful. And it's true. Sometimes understanding the overall meaning is more important than knowing every detail. Translation slows you down, but thinking directly in English keeps you in the flow. Another technique I used was shadowing. I would listen to a short audio, like a podcast or a movie clip, and repeat after the speaker immediately without time to translate. At first, my brain panicked, but little by little, it became easier.
Yes, shadowing forces you to think fast, and it's also fun because you can imitate actors or YouTubers.
Exactly. And here's another tip. Try to change the language of your phone or computer to English. It sounds simple, but it forces you to think in English all the time because everything you see, settings, buttons, notifications, is in English.
Oh, yes, that's a great hack. In fact, some of my students told me they learned a lot of vocabulary just by changing their phone language.
And one last tip I want to share, stop aiming for perfection. If you always want the perfect sentence, you'll translate forever. Accept that sometimes your English will be simple, sometimes broken, sometimes full of mistakes, and that's okay. The goal is communication, not perfection.
Brilliantly said. So let's summarize some key exercises for our listeners. Start with small sentences in English without translating. Label objects around you in English. Ask yourself many questions throughout the day. Listen for the main idea, not every word. Try shadowing exercises. Change your devices to English. Stop aiming for perfection. Focus on communication.
Yes, and if you practice these every day, little by little, you'll notice something amazing. One day you'll be thinking in English without even trying.
That's the magic moment, and it's possible for everyone, no matter your level right now.
Exactly. I'm proof of that. If I can do it, so can you.
Thank you so much, Alex, for sharing your journey and your tips.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, listeners. Remember, thinking in English is not impossible. It's just a habit you need to build.
Perfect ending. To all of you listening, try these exercises today. Don't wait. The sooner you start thinking in English, the faster you will become fluent. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and keep practicing with us. See you next time, and happy learning.